This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
And good morning. Linda Swain in with you on VOCM Open Line. Hope you're having a great day, or you expect to have as great a day as you can. Thank you to Brian Callahan for the last couple of weeks. He's now enjoying a few weeks off, so hopefully he gets plenty of R&R. Dave Williams, as always, holding the fort behind the glass and on the telephones, and thank you very much for that. Well, are you following the Olympics? I think it's fair to say that I'm obsessed. I'm watching it almost 24/7. I've always been a fan of the Winter Olympics, of course, in particular seeing some of the extraordinary ways that people from all around the world are challenging their bodies and minds in concert with the environment. There's just something about it. I don't know, the speed, how many sports do you have where you actually measure how many meters you are in the air? Not very many, but in winter sports there are lots. And the way that people challenge themselves, and of course after the Winter Olympics, of course, comes the Paralympics, and I also love to watch that. I can't say which sports are my favorite, but I actually made the mistake of uttering the words just a few days ago that the few sports that I am least interested in, not to say I'm not interested in them, but the least interested in, are curling and figure skating. Well, wasn't I wrong? I was captivated by what was going on in curling and skating, figure skating on the weekend. The drama and controversy is just as compelling in those sports as any other. I was watching the so-called quad god Ilya Malinin just collapse under the pressure on Friday. It was hard to watch this young fellow who had so many hopes and expectations heaped upon his very young shoulders just get crushed by that. And then, of course, the controversy surrounding the men's and now the women's curling teams, and these accusations of double touching the stone as it's being released beyond the hog line. That kept me, and I would argue the rest of the country, absolutely captivated. A few more other darker moments for Canada, of course, not to mention the curling scandal, but the set two between Pierre Quignon of France and Tom Wilson going at it in a game in the Olympics when you're not supposed to go at it. So that was a bit of a dark spot as well. Being a Montreal fan, I'm not a fan of Tom Wilson, but as my husband rightly pointed out, he's the guy you want on your team. What's your favorite story out of the Olympics? Are you following them? Canada's medal count has been relatively paltry to now in a country where we should embrace winter and all things that come with it. But it's starting to creep up a little bit. We have 2 golds now and quite a few silver and bronze. But it is raising some questions about programming and support for Canadian athletes, particularly in winter sports. So if you have any thoughts on that, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. And what are some of your favorite stories out of the Olympics or the controversies or whatever the case may be? It's such a human story. If you have anything to say on that, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. So yesterday was a provincial holiday in all provinces except Newfoundland and Labrador and Quebec. It's known as Family Day in many provinces, and we ask the question every year, and yesterday's question of the day was related to Family Day and whether or not Newfoundland and Labrador should recognize a holiday in February month. The overwhelming response, of course, was yes, but what would that mean exactly? Would it mean we might lose another holiday? There's still a lot of people feel like that stretch between New Year's and St. Patrick's Day for some, or for many, Easter, is a little bit long. So what do you think? Give us a call. Should we recognize Family Day or call it something else here in Newfoundland and Labrador? I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Well, it is awfully quiet lately. Do you find? It's almost like we're in waiting mode. We were having this conversation the other day in the newsroom with a new government in power. It's almost like we're in a holding pattern until the budget comes down, or at least until the House opens again. And the new government has made a number of decisions, some applauded and some very pointedly questioned, but the exact direction of this particular government remains unclear. They are using this term spending smarter when it comes to their decision making. However, last week, of course, came to light that an advisor in the Premier's office was being paid $275,000 through MCP. So the question is that spending smarter? If you have any thoughts on that, you're welcome to give us a call. We got a little traffic advisory for you now. The traffic is at a standstill eastbound just past the Thorburn Road exit. Emergency services are on the scene. We're not sure what's happening right there as we speak, but we will let you know as soon as we find out. Traffic is currently at a standstill in the capital city area eastbound just past the Thorburn Road exit. Emergency services are on the scene. I assume that's the Outer Ring Road, David? Yes, the Outer Ring Road. So if you're heading in that direction or you have a way to avoid it, here is your opportunity. On Friday's show with Brian Callahan, Janet McNaughton called the show, and she raised questions about introducing real-time monitoring for ankle bracelets in the province. That's for those convicted of or awaiting court on charges related to intimate partner violence. And the nature, of course, of intimate partner violence, some would argue, is different than other crimes, because history shows that the accused or the offender, whatever the case may be, is often so focused on the victim that the possibility of reoffending is much higher. And advocates have long been frustrated with court orders and the like, because oftentimes by the time a court order is violated, it's often too late. Would you like to see real-time ankle monitoring introduced here? People do wear ankle monitors, but they're not always 24/7 monitored. And the argument is, if that ankle monitor beeps and goes off within, a certain space or whatever the case may be, then police can respond in a more quicker fashion to those types of violations. If you have any thoughts on that, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. And it's, by the way, the topic of our VOCM question of the day today. Well, one of the stories that attracted the greatest amount of attention in recent days was a story that VOCM News ran last week concerning RCMP laying 68 charges in connection with this crackdown that they're imposing on prolific offenders and taking those in violation of court orders back into custody. And it appears to be getting a very positive response from the community. I've heard a lot of discussion about it. I've seen a lot of reaction to it. And as I said, the story itself garnered a great deal of interest on VOCM.com. In fact, it became one of our top stories of the week within a short period of time after it was posted online. So if you have any thoughts on that as well, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. We're going to head to the phone lines now, because I like to go to calls, and we are going to go to the caller on line 1. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm calling. Hi. How are you?
Good.
I'm fine. I'm calling because of a delivery failure with a local UPS. With them, I made an order back on January 25th for medication for myself, doctor approved. They referred me to the website, etc. And I've used the site before. Anyway, on January 25th, I accidentally selected UPS, and I paid $30 extra for it to be express delivered in 2 to 3 business days, according to what it said. I never got it until yesterday. So I spent 3 weeks without medication.
Do you not have when you select express delivery and pay for it, either accidentally or intentionally, is there not any kind of a mechanism where you can get a refund if it's not delivered within a certain period of time?
No, I have tried everything and contacted them myself. On Friday, I was in contact because I was told by an employee on Thursday that I would get it, not on Thursday, I'm sorry, on Wednesday afternoon, that I would get it on Friday. Well, Friday came and I called because I looked outside and Thursday it had updated to say that it was in Mount Pearl. So I said, okay, I guess I'll get it Friday because I'm in St. John's. And I figured, okay. And Friday came and I got a text 5 minutes after they were supposed to start delivering saying that I was postponed due to inclement weather. Well, I called and said, excuse me. And where it was right now, if it had been somewhere like BC or Ontario, I might have understood due to inclement weather. You don't know what could be going on there. Anyway, I went and called them and pointed out about the weather. I said, unless there's a freak snowstorm in Mount Pearl, which the radio certainly didn't report, and neither the TV or anyone online report about it, I would have been like, okay, if there was a freak storm in Mount Pearl to cause, only Mount Pearl, to cause the whole everything to be shut down. Well, it was beautiful out, and I offered to even send this woman the picture, and, well, she wouldn't said no, obviously.
Do you know if it was, in fact, in Mount Pearl?
Yes, it was. And I took the picture of St. John's because St. John's is right next to Mount Pearl, as far as I know, from when I've drawn. Every time I've had to be driven there. Anyway, we had beautiful weather. I even saw a Purelator truck in the parking lot. Anyway, I never got my medication Friday, so Saturday, out of desperation, I went to St. Clair's because I didn't know how long this was going to take. And my epilepsy was getting out of hand. Well, I wish I had brought my seizure book with me. I made a lot of mistakes, I admit it. But the nurse had the nerve to say to me that it had been a long time since I've been there because of epilepsy, and she said it in a very snarky voice. She almost mocked me for being there and said that my medication must be working. Well, if I had the energy, but I didn't because of my seizures. I have 4 types. There's over 40 types of seizures. I'm sure Epilepsy Newfoundland and Labrador can shed light on that. Anyway, she... when I pointed that out, she became quiet. But since the incident that caused me not to go back to the ER in 2024 happened, I've had seizures continuously, and I've written them down in my seizure book. I have over 20 documented since August of 2024. And it's now February 2026.
Okay, so you went to the hospital seeking the medication because the other route wasn't working for you. Did you end up getting your medication in the end?
No, and well, I can tell you what happened. Because my doctor wasn't working, it was Saturday. The doctor I was speaking to, and my family doctor obviously was not working Saturday. the doctor I got speaking to, he refused to do anything, and then said, because I pointed out how having the seizures, I don't like disclosing my symptoms, but one is, say, frequent diarrhea. And I said, I'll have that continuously all night. And in the morning, if I don't have anything, I said, that is a bad symptom to have.
Right, yeah.
Well, he had a nurse. She said, give her an Ativan pill. Well, the nurse came back. It wasn't even half of a pill. I wish I had my phone to take the picture and put it online, because you'd never believe it. It was probably, according to what the online bot says, what I described the size, at least 0.25 milligrams.
Okay,
not
so
enough.
Did you get any satisfaction from UPS?
I only got it yesterday, but I will never use them again because it took over 3 weeks. And if that's okay with them, then if the they need medication, and it won't be delivered to them for 3 weeks or longer. They should be okay with that. They expect me to be okay with it. It's only fair.
Well, you're raising an interesting point, and that is, with all of we've had a really bad winter so far in terms of disruptions to transportation and the like. But if anyone else has encountered problems with, online ordering and getting things on time, I'd like to hear what people have to say.
Yes. I've seen online posts actually on Reddit about that, on the St. John's Reddit about it.
Well, I'd like to hear what people have to say on Open Line as well.
Yes, that would help. Yes.
Caller, thanks for your call this morning. I hope you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. 3 weeks and waiting on something that she had ordered online. I don't know what the specific circumstances are there, but I know a lot of people who have been waiting on parcels of various importance for quite some time now. I had an online shopping experience recently that was less than stellar. Anyway, I'll recount that to you at some other time. But if you have any thoughts on that, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we hope to speak with you. So eastbound traffic on the Outer Ring Road is currently at a standstill due to an accident near the Team Guju turnoff. As a matter of fact, first responders are on the scene, but traffic is not moving in that area right now. That is traffic at a standstill, Outer Ring Road, eastbound, just near the Team Guju turnoff. So be mindful of that if you're on the go. We're going to go now to a caller on line 2. Hello.
Hello.
How are you this morning?
Happy Pancake Day.
Happy Pancake Day. I didn't have any pancakes this morning. I just sort of hit the road and came on in.
I'm calling in response to your question about incorporating another public government holiday. I've always had an issue with everything being open on Sundays. Like, why can't everything, only essential services, like one time years ago, back in the day, when Sundays were incorporated, then everybody got a family holiday on Sundays. Like, I just thought it may be a good question for a good debate on Open Line. How people feels about back in the day. Like,
right.
Sundays were always
a day of rest.
If my mom was alive now, per se, she would never agree with working on Sundays.
No. My mom didn't even like us putting out laundry on Sundays.
So when you put that question there, I called an Open Line once before about a medical thing. And I said, if it's the second time I ever calls in, I'm so glad that somebody put that question out there as to why everybody have to work on Sundays. And then everybody got a break. Like, they're putting in all these holidays, just putting them in here and there and everywhere. But why not bring back Sundays?
Yeah. Now, in this busy lifestyle, I would argue people have become used to doing what they need to do on Sundays as well as any day of the week. And I know that for a lot of people who work the 9 to 5s, Monday to Friday, having to do all of that running around on one day, Saturday, I don't think that very many people would want to go back to that. But let's see what other people have to say about it.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I just thought I'd throw it out there because me, from the old school, being very young but still from the old school, I still feel that way.
Well, I really appreciate your call this morning. We'll see what others have to say about it.
Okay, great. I'm gonna be listening.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, would you like to go back to shops closing on Sundays? Let's hear what you have to say about that. We're going to go now to Donna. You're on the air. Hi, Donna.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, living the dream.
Like us all.
Like us all, yeah. I'm actually calling regarding delivery, okay? It doesn't have to be specifically UPS. I've had a couple of incidents real quickly. My mother was in hospital in December, and we had ordered a nice chair. It was a club chair, but it was a comfortable chair because she had a curve in her spine. And we were supposed to have a delivery date of December 13th. It never showed up. I called the company and explained to them that this is for my mother as a Christmas present. And they were like, well, inclement weather. And I'm like, really? Where? You know, where's this inclement weather? And they were like, well, we only see what you see. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I checked, and they had updated the delivery to December 22nd. And December 22nd came and went, never got it. So at that point, I called them, asked for a refund. I was refunded. And a week later, on my back step, there was a box. So they delivered it. They didn't deliver it on time, obviously, but they did deliver it. Another incident real quick is I ordered a kitchen island from a well-known cheap company. And same situation, never received it on time. This was through UPS. And they said they were in Mount Pearl. Like the lady said, it was like in there for a week. So I called the company, and they refunded me. And then 2 days later, I received one box, and a couple of days later, I received another one. So I think the biggest issue with these companies and the delivery is the lack of communication. Like the companies have, like their hands are tied. They can't go any further than what the organization wants them to do. And then the delivery companies, everything is virtual. You rarely get a live person, you know, and they get the same thing we do, just a lot of frustration, angry customers, you know. But I ended up with a lot of free stuff for some reason, which benefited me.
Well, free is
but,
good.
Not so much anyone else.
Free is good. I'm not going to complain about free. I'm wondering, too, as you say, inclement weather, which, you know, is a catch-all kind of phrase. When you or I say inclement weather, we're looking out the window and we're going, sure, it's not doing nothing out there now. But
right.
In terms of a supply chain, it might mean, okay, so inclement weather has created a backlog. We've got a warehouse that is packed full of stuff that just arrived. We haven't got to your item yet.
That's right. And it could be like they got to come across on a ferry some stuff, you know, in boxes. Not a lot of people use airplanes, like organizations. It's not that, you know, cost effective, so they'll come across on trucks. And a lot of them are like those sea can kind of things. And so then they still have to unload it. They still have to scan it. They still have to input it, and they still have to put it on the truck. So, yes, there are going to be delays. But why can't they just say delayed due to, I don't know, well, weather, delayed to transportation across the Atlantic.
Because I guess that's just the box that gets ticked, right?
Yeah, and it's just so easy. Now, here's another really quick thing. When I received that kitchen island, I opened it up, and I got sick as a dog. Come to find out, I was researching it, and it's called off gases because they use MDF products and they use the formaldehyde glue. And I never knew that. I almost passed out in my house. It was bad.
I tell you,
it
now
was really bad.
I ordered a cooktop one time. Brand new cooktop, glass cooktop, really beautiful. And when you opened it up, it smelled like something died in there. And
formaldehyde.
That's what I was told. It was the formaldehyde that they used to pack this stuff with. Well, it was disgusting. Open the box. I'm supposed to cook on this now, and it smells like dead fish?
Yep. Ugh. Oh, it was really bad. I had the windows open, the doors open. I had air purifiers going, and it's like I also have pets, so they're on the they're not as tall as I am because that stuff kind of settles. It's like a gas, so. And like my poor dogs and cats was like, oh my God, but you got to be really careful. Just sending it out there to the people. If you're ordering online and you're ordering anything that got MDF and is coming from China, and I got to say it's coming from China, that, open it in a garage, open it outside somewhere where it can air, because you don't know what's in your house anymore. And off gases last for a long time.
And standards in different countries are different all over the world. And but I know exactly what you're talking about, because when we opened that box for that cooktop, OMG, we thought something crawled in there in the shipping process and had died, honestly.
It was bad.
It was disgusting,
It was really bad. Yeah.
Donna, I appreciate your call.
I figured I'd just send that little warning out there for people, just be really careful.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're getting anymore.
No, indeed. Really appreciate this, Donna. We'll see what others have to say. Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And I know that local companies are saying, see, we told you. This is the reason why you should shop local. But I had an incident recently where I ordered something. It was just it was a throwaway. Ha, ha, ha. It was a set of throw pillows, would you believe? All right? And I should have known. The thing was, the hint for me was the price. It was inexpensive. But what was advertised and what I got was two completely different things. I ended up going through this whole text back and forth with my sister saying, OMG, you should see what I just got. What it was advertised and the way it was explained and the pictures that were involved were nothing like what I received in the mail. And I said, well, lesson learned. It only cost me $16 for 4, so lesson learned. But anyway, if anyone has any other experiences like that, they're certainly welcome to give us a call. We're going to take a short break. We hope to hear from you. And we're back. Linda Swain in with you. And once again, a major slowdown on the Outer Ring Road eastbound near the Team Gouju turnoff. There's been a collision there. First responders are on the scene. And as of a short while ago, traffic was still at a standstill in the area. So if you are driving around and you need to get from one place to another, that may be a route you may want to avoid for the time being. And if anyone's stuck in that lineup, they're certainly welcome to give us a call and let us know what's on the go. We're going to go now to Gary. You're on the air. Hi, Gary.
Well, good morning, Linda. Nice to hear your voice again. The other fellow, Brian, was in all last week, so I'm glad to hear your voice again. In fact, you were the last one I think I talked to last time I talked to anybody on open line. Anyhow, the Olympics, I'm like you. I've been staying awake as much as I can to watch the Olympics, and yes, it was so exciting. The girl that won the gold medal, her last name starts with Goldham, right? I thought, wow, isn't that a coincidence? She wins the gold, but I wouldn't be able to do that stuff that she did yesterday. Holy mackerel! I thought, wow.
That's that camera angle that they show for the the freestyle, when they prepare to go down that hill, and it's like a straight drop down. I said,
I know.
how do you muster the will to do that, and then at the end of that, flip around? 150 feet up in the air. I don't understand it. Oh my goodness, it is captivating.
Oh man, it was so nice to hear "Old Canada" twice in the past few days. Wasn't that nice to hear "Old Canada"?
Oh, for certain, especially when we were kind of feeling a little bit put upon over the last little while. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the other lady that won the freestyle skating or the speed skating. Holy mackerel!
Well, we were watching the relay, the short track speed skating relay yesterday. Where they go around and they push each other, and
I know that's like roller derby on ice.
For a period of time, my husband and I were standing in the living room going, it's just, it's
so
crazy.
Was I. You must have heard me. We were screaming at the same time. Oh man! But no, the Olympics. Overall, it's good. Except for maybe the incident in the curling. The curling. Oh man, that was a sour taste there. But you know what? There's no need. Curling used to be like a gentleman's sport, or common courtesy. But the Mark Kennedy, he used in foul language. I thought, man, he apologized though for that, so he owed up to it. And I thought, good for him, he owed up to it. But it's pretty hard in the heat of the moment to try to be still like Tom Wilson. It's pretty hard to not go after that at a big tall guy, because he hit one of our star players. That's the nature of sports. You can get caught up so quick.
It goes to show
on the whole world's watching you.
Yeah, absolutely, and it goes to show the pressure that's involved in these things, and the expectation that people have. I mean, you're representing your country, so of course the stakes are high. They're probably higher than arguably any other level of sport, and it comes out from time to time. When people are saying what Mr. Kennedy said the other day, I mean, obviously he was being picked at and picked at and picked at and poked, and he had enough.
And that was it. He blew his top. He said, "That's it. I had enough." But anyhow, and so I want to talk. It's spring training now, so you and I get to watch the Blue Jays on the weekend. So anybody, if you're not sure what time, it's 1 p.m. Eastern. The Blue Jays spring training. There's a game on Saturday and a game on Sunday.
Oh, I can't wait.
Me neither. Come on. You know what? I can't wait. I hope they do. Maybe they might do better. I hope they get. Know what I cheer for? I hope that Toronto makes it to the World Series, but you know who I want them to play? I hope the New York Mets make it there. Then they could play Bo Bichette.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I wonder, I'll let our listeners decide. But what is going on with Bo Bichette? Do you think he is fit enough? Or is there more to his injury?
He has some injuries the past few years. I thought, I think he's hoping he's going to ride the tail. He's hoping that the Mets can win the World Series, and he's just holding on. I think he's not the Bo Bichette that we knew when he first came up. He'll never attain that again. I don't think. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're right there. At least I like to hope so now that he's with the Mets.
I've been wrong so many times before, so who knows? That's one thing I learned, that what the greatest expectation in life is expect the unexpected.
Exactly.
So anyhow, that was. I'm glad you're on. So you're going to be in the chair this week then?
For this week and next.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So I'm going to tune in because I really like listening to you, Linda. So
Well, I appreciate that, Gary.
I'm going to plug in for you. I hope, because I know you enjoyed the chair, and I enjoyed listening to you. So you have a wonderful day, and you got more callers, so I've got to let you go now.
All right, Gary. All the best, and enjoy the Olympics.
Okay, bye now.
All right, bye-bye. We are going to go now to the caller on line 2. Hello. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. First time calling, actually, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Don't worry about it. Just take a breath and go for it.
Okie dokie. I am calling concerning trying to get some information of a beneficiary, a person that's added to a will as a beneficiary. But the thing is, the will now has been ongoing now for almost 3 years. Can't get any information from the executor or the lawyer. Lawyers where I'm living, nobody will take it unless there's a retainer. And the retainer is pretty high, pretty expensive. So that's out of the question. So what I'm looking for, if there's somebody out there that can help out, take it as a contingency basis, and because basically what we're looking for is just a letter to be sent off. But been battling this now for well over a year, not getting anywhere with it. It seems to be everybody wants that down payment first, which is reasonable, which is perfectly reasonable. But right now, that's not an option. So just wondering if it's...
Sorry, just to summarize here, you're trying to settle an estate?
It's not my estate. It's not my estate. This person was named beneficiary of the estate.
Right, and you can't find them?
With others. Oh, yes, all that's been proven, but the problem is with the executor and the lawyer, and it's been ongoing now for almost 3 years, and they have very little contact with the beneficiaries. I'm not sure about the other beneficiaries. All I can speak for is this situation.
So it's kind of broken down? The system is kind of broken down?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So we really need a lawyer that's going to send off something like a demand letter because we're not getting any information about what's going on, or like if there were regular contact, like I don't mean regular contact like every other week or every couple of weeks or even every month, but just have some clarity, transparency of what's going on. And but there's nothing. It's a total shutdown. So we really need someone to look into this. And the lawyers that's been called in Corner Brook, everybody wants this enormous fee up front first. And then you're not promised anything is going to be done through that. But that's where I am. If there's anybody out there can help or direct, put somebody in the right direction concerning this, or with help, take it on a contingency basis, get the letter out there, it would be greatly appreciated because we're at the end of the road with this.
So you just want this put to bed. You just want it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I hear your frustration. All right. Well, caller, if anyone has any suggestions for you or wants to call the show off the air with some contacts or phone numbers, you're okay with getting in contact with somebody that way?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like
I said, we're kind of at the end now of what to do or where to go with this. So this is kind of like the last option.
Yeah, I hear you. It's not very often that you see these things go to VOCM open line. And I don't mean to make light of it, but it's an indicator of just how bogged down, obviously, the process that you're currently involved in has become. All right, if anyone has any recommendations for you or advice or wants to step up and help out in any way, they can give Dave a call and he'll take their numbers down.
That's super, and thank you for your time, and have a super great day.
You too. All the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Any advice for that woman? You're certainly welcome to give us a call. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we hope to speak with you. And that last commercial made me think about conversations I've been having in recent days about some people are having a real trouble with mice this year. I don't know if it's because of all the snow that we've had this season compared to past years, or if it's because it's been especially cold in the last little while, but I'm hearing some people got a real problem with mice this year. So anyway, if you have any thoughts on that, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. And any updates on the Outer Ring Road? Is traffic flowing there again? If anybody has any updates on that, they're certainly welcome to give us a call. We're going to go now to Charlie. You're on the air. Hi, Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Taking over the job, is it?
Sorry, I missed the beginning of that.
You're taking over the job?
Oh, I don't know. That process hasn't been determined yet.
Oh, okay. Everybody misses Patty, but I'm sure a lot of people would like to see you back on anyway.
I appreciate that, Charlie.
I was going to suggest a lot of people talk about Amazon. I've been a big Amazon shopper over the years, very convenient and all that. Since Jeff Bezos became a Trump robot and put the muzzle on the Washington Post, which he owns, I've decided to cut back on buying at Amazon. I buy very little there now. Several reasons. One, of course, Bezos' greed and his new buddy, and also the consideration, of course, of local stores and so on. But anyway, I would urge people to maybe look into buying at Amazon and maybe cut back a bit, because you're financing somebody who is terribly greedy, treats his workers badly, and we're just feeding him new money so he can do his space thing again. But anyway, that's my thought on that.
And what about the environmental impact of those types of business models? What do you think of that?
I really don't know enough about that to comment. I haven't read much on the environmental impact. Do you know anything yourself on it?
The waste. I've seen pieces about, the stuff that gets put in these warehouses, the boxing, and it's individual things, if you know what I'm saying, as opposed to a lot of things in one big box. It's individual boxes. And so that's one part of the equation. The other part is that stuff that doesn't get delivered, or for one reason or another, or is sent back, ends up in landfills, from what I understand.
Oh, okay. That's news to me. But there's another good reason, from what you've said, to cut back support for that company. I'd like to go on to another. You were finished, were you?
No, go on. Go ahead.
Okay. No.
You have the floor.
Okay. A lot of people say when we talk about global issues, what has that got to do with me? And as if that occurs some vacuum, because it's a long way away. We shouldn't be bothered, or we can't do anything about it anyway. And I find that strange, because when you look at pictures of what the children in Gaza are going through in tents that are flooded, in the sewage running through between the tents, children out playing in that, the disease, the lack of food and medicine, and it's total hell on earth. And we should be concerned, I believe, that perhaps we could send help or have our views known to our members of government and that, so they take the proper action. So I don't agree at all that things happening elsewhere have nothing to do with us. That's a very unchristian way of looking at things. And I'd like to recommend a book. It's by a proud Jewish person called Peter Beinart, his name is. Very proud Jew. It's called Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza. He goes right back and looks at the land thing going way back in biblical times. And we always get the impression that Jews were the victims. Well, very often he says Jews were the colonizers and they were the slaveholders. So they used to have their time on top, which they don't emphasize a lot in their holidays and that, he says, and the various things that they do to celebrate. But anyway, that book is fascinating, and I'll read the title again: Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza. Peter Beinart, a Jewish writer. Now, the peace board that Trump is talking about, to me, that's a scam and a big joke. Number one, he's not talking about a two-state solution, which the Israeli government, of course, doesn't want. They talk about a ceasefire. That's not happening. Palestinians are being killed every day in Gaza, and on the West Bank there are increasing settlements, and the violence there is terrible. The soldiers protect the Israeli people who are killing West Bank people. So I feel that I don't know if people are not interested in this stuff, but I suppose everybody has their reasons. We all live to some extent in a bubble. But what's going on there is just out of this world. I don't know if you want to comment on that or not.
Well, that, and I can't help but think almost continuously about the war that's dragging on in Ukraine right now. You have an aggressor that's moved in there, and people are being killed almost daily, and it's just bogged down, and the world just seems okay with it for some reason. So we've got numerous conflicts going on around the world, deep suffering that's happening, and what appears to be little to no political action.
Yes, it's as if it's old news, and in the meantime, these people are suffering in the cold. Their energy infrastructure has been damaged quite severely in the largest cities, and again, very little is being said. But I guess people feel again it's governments and people that it's out of our hands. But I don't think we can afford to look away. But anyway, the last thing I want to mention is UFOs, UAPs, they're called now, okay?
Well, we're up to news time, Charlie, unfortunately. Are you able to hold on to that thought and we can talk about it maybe tomorrow or the next day?
Yes, that's very fine, because I want to mention Obama and what he said. That's good, Linda.
Absolutely. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, absolutely. Give us a call another day and we'll talk about it.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're up to news time now with Zach Power. And we're back on VOCM Open Line. We're going to go now to Dave for a little update on the Outer Ring Road. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Linda. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Oh, better now since the traffic's freed up. About 10 minutes ago, I was in that standstill for over half an hour, 45 minutes or so. But anyway, it's cleared up. So
good to hear.
It's flowing again, back to normal. That's good, yeah. But while I was waiting and lots of time on my hands, I thought about there's an app, and I'm not affiliated with the app, but I find it very useful when I've been like off the island on vacations and all that stuff. If I ever had a rental car, I always use this app called Waze. It's like a GPS map. But one good thing about it, it's interactive. So anybody can report standstill traffic, accidents, road hazards, anything, and anybody cars left on side the road. You can do all that, and it's no different than selecting radio channels on your vehicle when it's connected to CarPlay or whatever. So I would encourage, and I've used it religiously on vacation because it's really good and helps you plan out your day for driving, know what the better routes is. It actually would even recommend better routes based on feedback from users and stuff like that. So I figure this will be great here too. It is used here. When I actually plugged in standstill for traffic during this time, so just wanted to put the word out that if we can help anybody on their daily commute to use an app. I know we all are familiar with the roads here, but it'd be nice to know, like when I'm leaving work, that if I check my app and I see that a road or whatever is congested, based on feedback, then I would help myself. Well, I'll avoid that if I can and go an alternate way to get about my day. So.
And it doesn't take you in weird ways. I know that.
No, it's been really good actually. Now I know our traffic system in Newfoundland is a bit, basic, and there's a lot of only one routes and stuff for that. But if you're using it even in town, like in St. John's or whatever, if you have a traffic accident at an intersection or whatnot, then at least you had that information ahead of time to plan to try and avoid it. And if everybody did that, then hopefully it frees up the anxiety level, so people that are stuck there or whatnot. But I've enjoyed it. I found it really worked really well with me when I used it all over the world. Very user friendly, and I just want to hopefully pass on a bit of knowledge and experience that I've had with an app.
Well, I appreciate that, Dave.
Interactive. Yeah, so hopefully work it out and people start using it more, because it only works as good as people that gets involved in it. So the more people that plug in the information into the app, the more useful it is.
And by the way, thank you for calling Open Line to let people know about the traffic flowing again on the Outer Ring Road. So that's another great way.
Well, if I did anything good this week, then hopefully that's it. So yeah. Appreciate
this, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda, and keep up the great work so far.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
So Dave there, eastbound Outer Ring Road flowing again, and thanks very much for that. And a few recommendations there on an app that he used known as Waze. We are going to go now to Harold Davis. You're on the air. Hi, Harold.
How you doing, Linda?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. I just wanted to call and give you an update on Persian Gulf Veterans of Canada.
Sure. What's on the go?
Well, the end of the month, Mark is going to come up with the 35th anniversary. 35 years ago, believe it or not, it all happened. And Veterans Affairs Commemoration Department doing a fantastic job. They have set up a 3-day event in Halifax and for Persian Gulf veterans. A lot of people will be there. The province is doing a proclamation on behalf of Persian Gulf veterans. New Brunswick is doing a proclamation on Persian Gulf veterans and calling. I think they said they were going to call it Persian Gulf Month. So the only ones that haven't said anything to us is the federal government. Mr. Carney, he used this in his election platform for votes and haven't heard from him since.
He did reference it, of course, when the U.S. president made those disparaging remarks about other countries and Afghanistan in particular. So he did boost up the Canadian Armed Forces and their role there, in addition to the Persian Gulf. He did make some remarks there. But in an official capacity, I know that Persian Gulf veterans for many years now have been feeling like they were put on the back burner, so to speak. Is there greater recognition now and greater support for people who suffered in many various ways through the Persian Gulf War?
Well, all Persian Gulf veterans, all veterans get treated pretty well the same way when you go into Veterans Affairs. For that, right now they just, after 35 years and a lot of fighting, they are recognizing Gulf War illness now for Persian Gulf veterans. But that's taken a while for them to get put into place on how to work it. And that came about because the WHO, World Health Organization, recognized it now as an ICD-10 medical problem for vets, right? Americans had 750,000 veterans over there, and there's probably around 100 or 150,000 got Gulf War illness. But Canada didn't want to recognize it. So after 35 years, now they're going to recognize it. Now we just got to work through it. But as for Mr. Carney, he put it in his election platform, saying we'll get proper recognition, and without consultation with Persian Gulf Veterans of Canada. And he got elected. I reached out, and not a word. His office does not want to speak to Persian Gulf Veterans of Canada, and I want to make sure people understand that part. So they used veterans again, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Who is our Veterans Affairs Minister currently?
Jill McKnight. But you got to understand something. Veterans Affairs does not have a say in how veterans are recognized. Veterans Affairs is nothing but an insurance company for veterans and RCMP. The Department of National Defense has the power to do something, but they don't want to talk to us either. So it's a long fight. We've been at it now 10 years. So, I sent out emails to all the premiers across Canada asking them to recognize Persian Gulf for the 35th. Newfoundland, by the way, didn't answer me back either. So just New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. But and I think 1/3 of the people over in the Persian Gulf, I think, I can't say 100%, were Newfoundlanders.
It was a significant number. Yeah. I don't have the specific numbers myself, but I do recall it was large.
Well, I'm from Bell Island, and there's, I think, 3 of us just from that little rock. So, and 2 of us sailed on the same ship. So that's a coincidence, I guess.
And some who paid the ultimate sacrifice, of course.
We did not lose anybody in the war. We lost because of the war, after the war. Right. So
because of Persian Gulf illness, because of the exposure to all those chemicals and smoke and that kind of thing?
Pretty well, yeah. Yeah, and PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of committed suicide, sad to say. But, it was a war. And Afghan is the same thing. Afghan is not recognized either as wartime service. It's recognized at special duty area, and that's a shame. That to me is a bigger insult than us as Persian Gulf veterans. So the government needs to do something, and I just wanted to let you know where we're standing and how things are going. And even Ottawa this year on the 3rd and 4th are having events in Ottawa for the 35th.
So you want specifically from the federal and provincial governments what?
Well, the federal government, we want our status changed, both for Persian Gulf and for Afghan veterans, to be changed to wartime service. Period. I mean, it was a war. I'd like to see anybody try to explain to me how it wasn't a war. But Canada hasn't done a wartime service since Korea, and they had to fight 28 years to get their service status changed. Merchant Marines from World War II, 45 years, and here we are sitting at 35, and we're still fighting. So I don't know what's going on with the government. They just don't like giving credit to our veterans where they served and what they've done for our country. And unfortunately, that's not acceptable.
And what difference would that make in terms of, compensation or benefits or recognition?
Well, recognition, we may end up on the war memorials, because right now we're not on a war memorial. Well, we are on a few here and there across Canada, but the National War Memorial, we were told it wasn't a war, so we are not allowed to be on it. So, And as for it's recognition for what we did. It's recognition for our job that we did. And I mean, there's other temporary duties across the world that Canada has been involved in, and they don't get the same recognition either that they actually rightly deserves. And as for compensation, that is a bridge we haven't come to yet because we got to do one fight at a time.
Feels like a slap in the face. It must.
Well, it is a slap in the face. For years, I thought I was a war veteran, and then one day, about 10 years ago, somebody said, "No, you're not." And they showed me in the books. Your place where you guys is classified as special duty area. It doesn't say anything about wartime service. Then we got the standing committee, veteran standing committee, to have hearings last year. They produced a report, and they said the Persian Gulf War was a war. So, but the government doesn't want to accept that.
Well, we call it a Persian Gulf War, the Persian Gulf War.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, if you go look on the federal government websites, VAC and D&D, and you'll see that they call it a war there. It's written all across all government. It's referred to as the Persian Gulf War. But yet, they don't give us the credit for the war that we served in. So if you can figure that one out, it's kind of a little bit mucky for me anyway.
35th anniversary, hard to imagine. Harold, thank you for the update. And if you hear anything further, will you let us know?
Oh, definitely. I like keeping us Newfoundlanders informed because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Harold, all the best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Linda, and we'll talk again.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'd like to hear from you. Going now to Bruce. You're on the air. Hi, Bruce.
Hey, good morning, Linda. How are you today?
I'm grand. How are you?
Good, too. Thanks for asking. Good job holding down the fort there.
Thank you.
So I just called today because this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. The flyers I live in Kilbride there, up around Old Petty Arbor, Fahey Street. Anyway, the people would deliver these flyers in little baggies. They do the drive-by and out the window. They fire them all out in the window, and I've got pictures of it here. The street's lined off the street. They're in the road. So then it snows and the plow comes along and shoves them into the curb, into the snowbank. And then the city thing comes along and devours it, puts it in a truck, carries it down, dumps it in the harbour. I've called them a dozen times about that and trying to keep them off my own property, but they don't listen to anything you say. I don't know what what others think, but it's quite a waste because you get the same thing in the mailbox anyway. But there it is. That's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, and I just wanted to express that. Thanks.
Oh, I can't concur enough. What is wrong with at least putting it on a doorstep? It's better if someone has a mailbox and you can put it in there, but just to pitch them, and like you say, now the plow picks that up and it goes right out into the harbor.
Yeah, sinks down in the harbor. Plastic and the paper, I suppose, might break down over time. I don't know about the plastic, but anyway, you can call them and tell them what you want. I was to the point I was going to collect them and carry them and throw them in the doorway in there on Duffy Place or wherever, too, in there. But anyway, there it is. I mean, what are we supposed to do about that,
Well, yeah, indeed. There's got to be a better way. Would the city be involved in cracking down on something like that? Could it be seen as littering?
Bylaws, yeah, litter bylaw, that could be. Yeah, that's probably a good way to approach that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Might be something to call your ward councillor or somebody.
Sure, yeah. You get the same thing in the mailbox anyway. Usually the flyers are the Canada Post seems to be all they're delivering these days for. Anyway, I won't get into that, but I got a letter in there, too, asking them to not bring it to me. I don't want it. I mean, everybody's using the Internet these days, but a lot of it really is only waste. So it's just a big waste. Littering is what it is.
Well, Bruce, thanks for putting your beefs out there, and we'll see what others have to say about it. But that might be a way to go, contacting the city.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking pictures of it. You look up the street, and they're all out. They're all on both sides of the street, and of course, pending snowstorm, and then you know where that's going, right down to the harbour. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good idea. I may make a complaint.
I know a lot of people do love their flyers, but it's not going to do you much good if it's out in the middle of the road, is it?
Yeah, ran over by, I mean, not everybody goes out and get anybody who don't care about them or don't want them. They're not going out to get them, and especially after they've been ran over a few times.
No, indeed. I'm not going to bother with it. Are you?
Yeah. And the wind, the wind around here lately, right? I got every fence every fence adjacent my property's down from the wind this year. So they're everywhere, and they're up in the snowbanks, and they're under your decks everywhere, blowing around, right?
Well, Bruce, thanks for raising it. We'll see what others have to say about it. Appreciate it. And if you do contact the city and get anywhere with it, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thanks.
Have a good day. Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye. We're going to go now to the mayor of Labrador City, Mr. Jordan Brown. Hello.
Thanks for having me, Linda.
Yes, no trouble. So how was Minex?
Minex was fantastic. I think we've hit a new record. This is the first time it was. Usually it's biannually, so this year they went annually. So we only had one last year, but it was about, I guess, a significant increase in size and participation from last year. So I think we've got something here, and I guess people want to be a part of.
Any challenges? I know that there's, Lab City in Wabush has challenges with housing and the like, but any challenges getting people accommodations for this major mining conference?
Oh, as always, there's always challenges. I know, people came in, every hotel was booked up with people. They waitlisted people for the event because even tickets to the events and stuff all sold out. So, there was people that couldn't make it. There's people that changed plans because they probably couldn't get in for a hotel room and that. So it was quite significant. That was for sure.
So what was the timber of conversation? I know that there's a lot of exciting things and a lot of exciting potential in the region, but are there any challenges that are impeding that in any way?
Well, I guess the number one conversation was power, because none of these things could happen without electricity. We're currently maxed out as a region, where the air region is using 387 megawatts of power, and that's the maximum capacity of the two lines that come from Churchill Falls to Lab City and Wabush. That's it. We're maxed out. It's drawing as much power as it can. So, you get the CAMI project, you have expansion at Rio Tinto IOC, you have expansion at Takora that want to happen. All these things circle around, well, yeah, we're going to do it, but we need electricity first. So that was the big conversation, I guess, is Minex is getting electricity to the region. A lot of players in the region, like mine service companies, warehousing companies, and maintenance companies, they're having the same issues. They have land, they have land purchased in the industrial park, things like that, but they can't put anything on the land without electricity. So a lot of it is around a conversation of we want to do all these things, but we need electricity to do it.
So how do you get that electricity? I mean, we know where we are now. We seem to be in a bit of a holding pattern. What are the solutions, and what were government officials telling you?
So right now, as I guess in conjunction with what was the original MOU that was signed back a year ago now, that there was a schedule of releasing power from Churchill Falls, and then if Gull Island came online, releasing power from Gull Island back into the province for industrial use. So in that schedule, in conjunction with that, Hydro was doing work on a third power line. So they were doing a feasibility study, figuring out what size line that we need to build and all that. So at Minex, Hydro, I guess, did a presentation on the work that they have done so far on that third transmission line, and they come to the conclusion that they need a 735 kilovolt line. A 735 kilovolt line carries 1,500 megawatts of power. So they determined that's how much power this region is going to need in the future. And so they said that this is the line that they're going to start doing engineering work and geotechnical work on, and figuring out what's the route from Churchill Falls to Lab City, what's the engineering is going to look like, and geotechnical work to see where the towers are going to be placed on that line. So that's what they're starting now. But the big question mark is, when the line gets to Churchill Falls is there power going to be available for Labrador West to draw down on to use for the mining sector? So that's the big question mark now is there going to be power available at Churchill Falls for that line?
And what's the answer?
We don't know. Because right now where the current administration has gone and got the independent review going now, and there's talks of referendums and all this other stuff. So it really is putting a big question mark in the region right now of what's the future going to hold for Lab West.
And what kind of an impact does this kind of uncertainty have economically on the region?
Well, right now, let's just take one mine, Rio Tinto IOC. That's the largest mine we have in this province. That one mine is 2% of the province's GDP. So if you add all the mining activity and the stuff in the region, we're about up to 4% of the province's GDP. If we add Kami in the mix now and they come on stream, that's another percentage point onto our GDP. So these mines and activity here in Lab West have a significant portion, runs a significant portion of the GDP of this province. Stalling that, you lose confidence. We have at Minex, we actually had the Japanese investors who were in doing work with Kami, who bought almost 50% of the Kami project. They were in at Minex talking with people as well. And they can easily just say, you know what, this is an unstable region to invest in, and disappear. So as of right now, the uncertainty is probably not going to be helping my case and anyone's case to sell this region as a place to invest going forward.
Certainly, it's got to have a dampening effect on investment. So the Premier was in attendance. The Energy Minister was in attendance. What are they saying?
Well, myself, and I'm sure my colleagues in Wabash, and we talked to them and expressed our concern. We need some certainty. We need to know what's the plan going forward. We need power in this region. We're on a schedule. We need to know how this is going. So we let the officials know. We know that we want to do these things. We want to be able to go forward. My council and myself, we submitted to the independent review. We sent a submission in ourselves as a council. We need power for our own reasons. We got 2 potential housing developments that we want to work on. We're going to need power for that. We also have the project we have submitted with Connections for Seniors NL to do seniors housing. That's gone to the federal government now, but we're going to need we want to build that, so we want to make sure there's power available for that. So we put our own submission in because we have our own electrical needs as a municipality.
Indeed, and I guess that's what's keeping housing development and all those other types of development within the town and the municipalities there themselves kind of hemmed in. Yeah,
we have a little bit of leeway to play with, but once that's used up, then that's it. So so we got just a little bit left that we can use for housing, but at the end of the day, once that's used up and that's used, we know what we're going to be in the near future. So that was, like I said, the big conversation everyone was talking about is how do we make we square this circle and try to get that. So we've made our case to the provincial government and the Premier and the ministers that were here at the time and our own MHA. We're just trying to say we need to get this. We need to get this solved, and as expeditiously as possible, because we have investors. They're buying into 50% into a mining project, a very significant mining project, and we also have Decorah was talking about expanding into the manganese, but they need electricity to build a mill for that. Rio Tinto IOC, they want to increase production, so they're going to need electricity for that. And then they have some other far-reaching plans that eventually down the road they're going to need electricity for. We have, there's another exploration on the go called Red Paramount. They're a company up on a place called Lake Varroa, which is just a little bit north of here. They're up there exploring, and with the good price for the high-grade iron ore right now, it probably won't take long for them to find investors and stuff in that. So we're really, growing in the region, but with this big question mark not answered, it's really hard right now.
Jordan Brown, I do appreciate the update. Thanks so much.
No worries. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, listen, and hey, Kane's Quest.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that. Sure. So Kane's Quest starts next week. We're all excited. So on the 22nd, and they're going to be racing out across from Lab West, out across Labrador. It's the 20th anniversary. It's going to be fantastic. Got a lot of great teams in there, and there's just chatter right across Labrador right now. It's great. It's going to be a fantastic time. So the racers and stuff are coming in soon. We're going to have fan nights coming up on Friday, so we're going to see that go down and get all the kids and everyone and then adults who want to come down and see all the race sleds. That's happening at the Labrador City Arena. Then we got the start line on the 22nd. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely, and the weather conditions are favorable.
Oh, it's looking great. We're at a 5-year high for snow. Last year we barely got any snow. This year I haven't put the shovel away at once at all. It's snowing right now. So we've got lots of snow. We've got lots of excitement. It's going to be a fantastic time.
Wonderful to hear, Jordan. Thank you so much.
No worries. Take care, and good to talk to you again, Linda.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from Laurabelle Mba right after this. And we are going to Laurabelle Mba, who's on the air. Hello.
Good morning, Linda.
How are you this morning?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good, good. Well, this is it's Black History Month, of course, and of the many, many people that we think of when we think of Black history, one of the most prominent in recent years, anyway, has been civil rights activist, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, down in the United States, and of course, such a monumental figure in the civil rights movement, and we lost him.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking loss for sure.
What kind of an impact, how would you categorize the impact that the Reverend Jesse Jackson had on civil rights in the United States?
I think he was really impactful, even from his early years, even in the later half of his life. The work he's done has not spearheaded, but helped move some of the civil rights goals ahead over the course of time, and he did it in a way that, one, let the Black community feel supported, feel seen, but also inspired allies to come along on this work so that they didn't just feel that these kinds of progressions for improvement were only supposed to be done by Black communities.
And a real thorn in the side of some decision makers, of course. I believe he had attempts made on his own life, didn't he not?
Absolutely. It seems that it's something that happens for a lot of people who are in the civil rights work and who are so public and forward about their calls about injustices and holding people accountable.
Are we any further ahead because of the work that the Reverend Jesse Jackson has done, or do you feel like we're backsliding?
I think because of the work that he has done and many others like him, there is more acknowledgement and more people willing to see where there are inconsistencies and areas of disproportionate representation or the civil liberties afforded to those who are racialized and marginalized in communities. If we talk about the overall movement, not everything is as great as I'm sure he would have wanted it to be with the work he's put forward.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask, because we know that the United States is, well, it's unique in a lot of ways, isn't it? But how does it compare to work being done here in Canada? And, just there are differences. There are absolute differences, but there are some parallels as well.
Absolutely. I think when we look at the work being done, Jesse Jackson inspired multiple civil rights activists, not just those in the United States, but the world over. And if we look at the work being done here in Canada, there are so many others who are walking in his footsteps, who are calling attention to the inequities faced by people, who are willing to stand on the forefront and advocate for better. And I think we do a lot of comparing Canada to the U.S., and I don't always think it's in the best interest in terms of, because we come out looking like we are the shining rose in a lot of situations, but there are still a lot of situations of racism and discrimination that do occur right here in our own country and in our own province specifically. So I think, yes, we are not our neighbors to the south, but we are not without blame and without fault either. There is still work that needs to be done right here at home.
Absolutely. So how can Canada do better?
I think it's acknowledging our own history. So not just when it comes to Black communities, but looking at Indigenous communities as well, looking at the way we treat Indigenous folks here in our own province, in our own country, knowing that they are still not held or treated with the same equity as they are deserving, considering that this is Indigenous land, border to border, coast to coast, and we don't always recognize that in the way we move and the way we operate in our province and in our country. So I think when we think about the things the Reverend Jesse Jackson was fighting for, was for not just for acknowledgement of marginalized populations, but for equity to be involved in how we treat people, how policies are developed, how programming and how governments continue to govern.
And are we getting better? Are improvements being made? Are decision makers making the appropriate changes?
I think if we listen to our Prime Minister's speech at the World Economic Forum, we can see that things have changed, and the powers that had uphold some level of civil politeness or civility are no longer doing the same, and some places are backsliding and others are holding firm at where they were. I think there is no overall statement that can be said, yes, we're all better, but there are places where progress has been made, and it's important now especially to hold on to that progress when we see other places, other populations stepping backwards from where they were made.
And what about the anti-immigration rhetoric that we're seeing rising globally? Because when we talk about immigration, I think an awful lot of people don't just think about people moving from one country to another. They have a very specific focus on immigration, if you know what I'm trying to say here.
I absolutely know what you're trying to say.
You know, what about this anti-immigration rhetoric, and how does that impact the Black community in particular?
I think it impacts the Black community in a very specific way because we have this idea that a lot of North America is a white ethno-states, and that is absolutely untrue. Turtle Island, which encompasses North America completely, so that Canada, the U.S., Mexico, and those areas are Indigenous lands. And so if most of the people who are in these spaces were either brought here through the transatlantic slave trade or immigration due to the effects of colonialism in their own places of origin. And I don't think it is right or fair for those who happen to have the privilege of having multiple generations, living on these lands, to feel like they are owners of the land and get to decide who is welcome and who is not, and how people get to move freely or not so freely through these spaces. I think it's for all of us to remember, those of us who live on these lands right now were immigrants at one point, whether it was generations ago that our families ended up here or we are recent immigrants. We were not of these lands originally. So with the same amount of freedom that was afforded to us is what we owe to those coming newly. And I think that extends when people seem to be xenophobic towards visible minorities and migrants showing up in our spaces. And this also impacts the Black community. People tend to think that a lot of Black people who live in and around our areas here are new, but there are multiple generations of Black people who have lived in Canada, in Newfoundland specifically, and it is disingenuous for us to believe that everyone who is here is new and is not deserving of the same rights and liberties that people here have had for years.
And finally, I wanted to ask you about Black History Month, because we're so inundated here in Canada with culture and ideas and bluster, if you will, sometimes from the United States. And the Black community is a diaspora of people, of cultures, of languages, of traditions that are so much broader than one country's experiences, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
So, tell us a little bit about the Black diaspora, because whether you're from Nigeria or whether you're from Barbados or whether you're from Cuba or Brazil or Georgia, you have different experiences and different cultures and different art and tradition and all that stuff.
Absolutely. I think it's really important to talk about that because the Black identity is not a monolith. Yes, they are shared experiences, especially when we are existing in predominantly white spaces, but the diversity that exists within the Black community is so rich between food, culture, language, clothing. You can be, even if people think about the continent of Africa, if you go through all the countries, there's a multitude of languages spoken in those countries. Not all of them are the same, even from those that are neighbors. And it is unfair that people think that just because you're Black, you're one thing, when those from all these different countries have things that are very important to them culturally, language-wise, food-wise even, that deserve to be honored and celebrated in its own right. So I think when people think of the Black identity, they are shared commonalities, but there's also so much richness. And I invite people over the remaining days of February, but even into the rest of the year, look into what it means to be Black from very different perspectives, because the experiences of a recent Black immigrant are very different from those that have been in Canada or in North America their entire lives. And the way they interact with their Black identity will also be vastly different. And there's so much to learn about the different Black cultures that exist across the globe, and there's no harm in exploring and experiencing them.
Laura Bell, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda.
Okay. Bye-bye. Laura Bell Mba there, a very outspoken activist and a proud member of the local Black community. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we hope to hear from you. And we're very close to news time, so if the opposition critic for Health and Community Services, Lisa Dempster, is unable to get her points across before news time, we'll take you after the news as well. Lisa, is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure. I can start now, Linda, and come back if we're not done.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, so Linda, I took 2-3 days to watch the coverage, to hear from folks around the province before I actually, as the provincial health critic, decided to weigh in on the story of a political staffer in the office of Premier Tony Wakeham earning $275,000 as a special advisor. I think the kicker here, Linda, is he's being paid from the province's publicly funded health insurance program. That is who is picking up the tab. But MCP is for medical care, full stop. And Linda, health has been a huge issue that I've dealt with over my almost 13 years now, serving the people of my province in Cartwright, Lanza-Clare. But in Budget 23, the Medical Transportation Assistance Program came under me. I could talk about that in a whole other call of the challenges and the needs. But through that medical transportation program, every single day I was receiving calls from folks that, I got denied assistance because it was not an insured MCP service. I would go work with the folks in MCP consistently, always told about, well, we can't add, it's a limited budget, it's a finite budget, the insured services that are there, it is what it is. And now to see a political staffer getting paid $275,000 from that fund that is there to help the people, I just think it's so emboldened of a new premier that ran on health care, that talked about the challenges around health care, was going to fix health care. And after he finishes his first 100 days of cutting wonderful things, sending people like Dr. Pat Parfrey out the door, bringing in his political friends, continues to do it. And at a time when people are struggling, I have never, Linda, in the last 3 months, it is the most calls I have ever received on healthcare in this province, and I just wanted to
let's hold that for a moment and come back to you and hear what you've heard on this issue right after the news. Is that good with you?
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda.
All right, I'll put you back on hold, and we'll get back to Lisa Dempster right after the news with Zach Power.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
And just before the break, we were speaking with the opposition critic for Health and Community Services, Lisa Dempster, about Dr. Des Whalen, a special advisor to the Premier, being paid $275,000 through MCP. And Lisa, you said before the break, you were just getting into it there, that you've never received so much correspondence on this particular issue. Tell us a little bit more about that. What kind of reaction are you getting?
Linda, people are so unhappy. Well, every day I hear from people struggling in healthcare, but Premier Tony Wakeham's latest move to divert essential medical funding for political reasons. We have people out of province waiting for transplants. There is just so many stories. People from Labrador trying to get in to access insured services. There is a limited number on the MCP program that's funded, as we all know. And to take an individual, make a political appointment to the 8th floor, only going to work 28 hours a week, is getting double the Premier's salary, Linda. Just to put this in context, people are sorely disappointed. They had, I guess, he went out and he campaigned and he made a lot of promises, and people needed hope at a time when we've been struggling with health care right across this country coming out of the worldwide pandemic. The Health Accord was giving those people hope. It was a bright spot. A man with more than 40 years experience who often humbly said himself everything he did was through altruism to help make life better for people. Tossed him aside, brought back Ross Wiseman. We thought that was enough. And now to pay somebody, I think about MHA Jeff Dwyer, a decent guy, I've served with him in the House for a number of years. This man that was just brought in part-time as a political appointment, being paid for by the province's publicly funded health insurance program, is getting 3 times the pay of an MHA who I got no doubt is working very hard. And trust me, I've been doing this a long time. It's not a 9-to-5 job when you're a rural MHA. So, Linda, based on the huge outreach to me in email, in text, in messenger, in calls, I did write the Minister of Health. I wrote her about, all of the public concern that was raised to me about the appropriateness of allocating a portion of healthcare funding intended to pay for physician services, other health services, to give political advice to the Premier. And I think the people of the province, from what I've heard, there's 3 questions. There's many questions, but I chose 3. You can't put them all in a letter. They want to know who authorized or approved charging this expenditure to the MCP budget. I wonder, was the health minister aware? This is a strong individual. The province is well familiar with this individual, a Labrador MHA, for about 6 years now. And was she aware? I got to wonder, in my heart, does the current health minister support using MCP funds for a political advisor? I would question that. So that's one of the things that I have written to her about. And I also wondered, Linda, how will the use of MCP funds for non-clinical purposes affect the delivery of insured health services? That really concerns me, given my close relationship from Budget 23 up until October, working through the medical transportation program, which was always tied very closely to our medical care program and the insured services. And I also think, Linda, as I mentioned, with the current sitting health minister, a very capable woman, a new deputy minister that just went in there. What's the story here? Does the Premier plan on being the de facto minister? What a slight and what an insult. The people I have heard from have said this is so blatantly disrespectful to the people. Emboldened was a word I heard a lot. And so I wanted to weigh in on this story. It's far from over. It's not the right thing to do any time, but especially at this time when we have limited funds in the province. We know that healthcare is struggling, and this is the move that the Premier comes out and makes.
Is this for a full year, for 4 years? What is it? Do we know the length of this particular appointment?
I don't know the details of this appointment other than it's $327,000 on a per annual basis for 28 hours, and it's coming from the people that are listening to your call today. He chose to hire above the salary out of your healthcare budget. And, so on the 8th floor, there is a budget. And the Premier has, I believe it's $1.8 million that he can do political appointments with. And what he has chosen to do was save that $1.8 million for a bunch of other political hires there, and then I believe the cap is 196 or something like that, gone far above what the cap is. So another question that people have asked me is, did they change the policy or did they just blatantly ignore it? I don't know that. It's a question that I have as well. When you have the highest paid advisor way above a political pay scale, how did that happen?
And why Dr. Whalen in particular? Do we know anything about him?
Well, I want to say, and it's important for me to say it, I don't want to make this personal. Well, I don't know Dr. Whalen. I do believe he is a well-respected physician. But make no mistake, it is well known that he is a PC insider. This individual has long-standing ties to the Conservatives. He served as a director on the party's provincial executive, assisting a former PC health critic through question periods while in mid-school. A long, long history, this individual. And, I also would be remiss, Linda, if I didn't say, we all heard, I think it was around the end of October when the cabinet was set up, the Premier, Tony Wakeham, was sort of like a badge of honor for him to say, we're going to be spending money responsibly. We're going to shrink cabinet. We're going to save $400,000 of your money by shrinking cabinet. And then they turn around and they've added all of these political friends, special advisors in every department. They are paid usually about $120,000 or more, and they're doing it all very quietly. I want to tell you, folks listening would know, I was in cabinet for almost a decade. In most of our departments, we had executive assistants. We paid around $70,000 was the starting salary. Some larger departments had a ministerial liaison, getting less than $70,000. But right now, we have like an onslaught of political positions, six-figure salaries, and most departments that I'm familiar with, they have special advisors in several departments. They have EAs. There's I don't know what the total tab is on that, but I can tell you a very simple look. It's far above in the shrink to cabinet and the larger roles that some ministers are carrying at $400,000.
You were a cabinet minister for years. What role did special advisors play in the previous government? Was it something that was regularly used, or is it used from time to time? How does it normally work?
I can tell you we have never brought in a special advisor and paid anything remotely close to the tune of this. And one thing for sure that we never did was take funding from the province's health insurance program and pay for political advice. To my knowledge, nothing like that was ever remotely close to done. It's pretty disappointing and it's pretty concerning at a time when people want hope that things are going to get better. We had solid bureaucratic advice within the system. Dr. Pat, as I mentioned, Dr. Janice Fitzgerald, well-known names, there and capable people. And then for a couple of days a week, let's give almost $300,000 to this guy to do this job on the side and give us some political advice, but let's pay him from the MCP fund. It is not right on any level, and Linda, a lot of people are concerned. So as an opposition member, I'm the Shadow Minister for Health. I just wanted to do my job and call in and shed some light on that story and how disturbing it has left a lot of people feeling.
Lisa Dempster, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda, for the opportunity. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye-bye. That is Lisa Dempster, the opposition critic for Health and Community Services. If you have any thoughts on what she's had to say, you are welcome to give us a call. Here are the numbers to do so. Back, we're going now to the caller on line one. Hello. Hello. I don't have your name, so I don't know who you are.
Hello.
There's somebody there. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How can I help you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
No, I've called and talk about what's been going on with the Department of Transportation and the HET's market factor adjustment, what's been going on with them and the operators and stuff like that and the other trades workers.
Okay.
So it's been in the news and stuff now. They've had trouble finding HETs and hiring them, so they've offered them a $24,000 market factor adjustment, which is a way to try to bring in new employees.
HET, what's that?
Oh, that's all right. Like a mechanic for fixing the trucks, the flyers, the things like that.
Oh, the big equipment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for the plowing the roads and stuff.
All right. So they were having trouble hiring, and now they've made a market adjustment, which is not uncommon, by the way, of an additional $24,000. You said?
Yeah, for the year.
Okay.
And it has left a lot of the other trades workers around working, electricians, carpenters, welders, plumbers, everybody else within MOS that works next to them or with them, feeling like we're left behind. Like, we do understand they do need others, like they do need the mechanics. There is a need for them, but like, based off the government's own policies for market factor adjustments, like the negative impact it has on employees around them, how it affects morale, all these things are supposed to be taken into account, and it just doesn't seem like it's been taken into account. I've been talking to countless people there now, other trades workers, other, welders, carpenters, electricians, power engineers, who are now like beginning to look for jobs in other places because they just don't feel like they're being treated the same or respected the same.
So when these kinds of adjustments have to be made to attract people to very essential jobs, it doesn't get passed on, obviously, to other trades as well. So you're talking about specialized workers within the public service?
Yes, other Red Seal journeymen, like I said, examples of like welders, carpenters, electricians, power engineers, plumbers, the rest of us within the same bargaining unit on the same rate of pay, who work next to them and do other essential services, being left behind.
It's a good point. What does the union have to say about that? What's the union's take on it all?
Most of the stuff we can get now in regards to responses is like waiting till April when collective bargaining and stuff happens. But there's an issue again with how employees feel now. Like, I know of many people who have applied on jobs in other places based off the way this has made them feel, and then they say it's for retention, recruitment, but supervisory staff are getting a part of money as well, not the full $24,000, but they're claiming that because supervisory staff have to be 5% above the highest paid person underneath them, that they're entitled to a portion of it, yet apprentices, whose wages are supposed to be based off the journeyman's, 70 or 80 or 90%, depending on how far along your apprenticeship you are, aren't getting anything. They're not getting a cent, which, if anything, they should be getting money as well, because you're trying to retain and recruit new employees. So these people you have working with you there for 4 or 5 years, whatever it takes them to do their apprenticeship, aren't getting a cent from this, and it's not a good way to try to recruit new employees or people that know the jobs, the equipment, the work that needs to be done.
Well, absolutely. I would imagine it causes resentment in the workplace, because if you're working elbow to elbow with some of these people, knowing full well that they're making it considerably more than you are, only because they're needed, in quotations, it must make you feel kind of not very needed.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make us feel like our work is appreciated or needed or thought of as the same.
Have you heard much from people, within these trades, saying much about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, truthfully, I've heard of people from a couple of regions now that are almost half ready to go up to the Confederation building itself and go outside and try to get some answers. Like, people are fed up. People are sick and tired of seeming like their work isn't worth as much. It's caused a large feeling of resentment. It's caused tension in between different employees. Like I said, or like you said, making that we're always making the same money elbow to elbow now. having to work next to someone making so much more. It's been hard.
And of course, we've just been through this, and we're still going through it to a certain degree with the travel nurses in the healthcare system. Nurses who have been in the system for many years, working elbow to elbow with somebody getting considerably more, and we've seen the kind of resentment and divisions that has created.
Exactly, and it's only continuing to get worse. Like I said, they're saying because of the shortage of those employees now, but based off of what I've seen and what I heard, there's going to be a large shortage of many other positions if things like this continue and something doesn't seem to change.
Well, caller, I'm so pleased that you took the time to raise this issue. It's an important one, obviously, and it's not, by all intent, so it seems anyway. We're not going to see it go away anytime soon. If certain people are needed in some trades and you have to make those adjustments, then the adjustments are made to get them where they need to be. But what that means for the remainder of the workforce, well, as you just pointed out, is causing problems.
It is. It's causing resentment and feelings of just not being worth anything or worth nearly the same as what the people you spent all this time working with. And it's, again, and not giving it to apprentices and things like that, like people that would be the next line of the workforce, but being willing to give it to the management staff has also caused a lot of confusion amongst apprentices now looking for other jobs as well, looking to try to learn their trade somewhere else instead of having them stay here, do their apprenticeship, and then continue on to try to fill these vacancies.
Yeah, so they're leaving, I guess, and going to the public sector or leaving the province altogether.
Exactly.
So you said that people are frustrated enough that they're willing to head to Confederation Building. Is that correct?
Well, that's what some of people I've talked to have said, that they're willing to just get up and go wherever they need to go to try to get some results on this. It's caused a lot of unpleasant feelings.
Well, caller, I'm sorry that this is something that's happening and making people feel less than worthy, I guess. But I'm so glad that you raised it and let people know about it. I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much.
And I really appreciate you for taking my call. Thank you very much.
All righty. Bye-bye. Well, your thoughts on what that caller has had to say and raised, very important indeed. We have about a half hour left in the show. When we come back after the break, we're going to speak with the president of the Chinese Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. Guess what? Happy New Year! It's the Chinese Lunar New Year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what's planned right after this.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And we're back on VOCM Open Line. And not only is this the Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the fire horse, but 2026 also marks the 50th anniversary, golden anniversary no less, of the Chinese Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. And here to tell us what they have planned and what they're doing is the president of the Chinese Association of Newfoundland and Labrador, Francis Tam. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, no trouble. So congratulations for starters.
Yes, it's quite a milestone for sure. Wow, right? 50 years.
50 years, but the Chinese community in Newfoundland and Labrador goes back a long way beyond that.
Long way. Yes, the association was only established in 1976. But it goes back to, this late 1800s when the early pioneers and settlers came over for the railroad construction.
And such an important part in the mercantile side of things here in St. John's in particular, and many large communities. The Chinese community spread out throughout Newfoundland and Labrador and established well-known business establishments throughout the province.
We're integrated in all types of work and workplaces and such, right? From our humble beginnings, right, as laundry operators or Chinese restaurant owners, we have actually, integrated in all types of businesses now.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And such a tight-knit community as well. And I know that the Lunar New Year is a time to come together and celebrate and have fun and do all those amazing things. And I love the dragons and the lions. I'm sorry, I just love them.
It's exciting. No, it's exciting. It's colorful, right? It's certainly great growing up, in in the culture, right? Experiencing it, right here in Canada. It's been, quite an upbringing. And so I'm glad to share that culture well with the new generation.
And how important is it to keep that going, generation after generation?
It's very important because it's a sense of identity of who you are and how far, right, the Chinese people have come, right, it's not just locally but worldwide, right, as a race, and then come together and they'll celebrate our accomplishments. Right, and they'll move forward and hope for for the best and dreams of the future.
Absolutely. So, any idea of how large the Chinese community is here in Newfoundland and Labrador?
The last consensus was back in 2006. We were looking at 7,500 then. Right, and that's including transient students, attending Memorial University. Right, so that number might be closer to 8,000 or 9,000 today. Across the island of Newfoundland and Labrador.
And not just new students and new arrivals, but as you just pointed out, long-time generational families.
Yes, I'm a third generation myself, native to Newfoundland.
Wow, yeah,
right,
amazing.
I was born on the West Coast, in Corner Brook.
We won't hold that against you. I'm just teasing, of course.
No, I hope everybody listening won't hold it against me either.
No. I'm just teasing. So, Francis, tell us now what you have planned. You usually have a dinner?
Yeah, so today is the kickstart of the 15 days of celebration. And if I was in Asia, if I were working, as first responder or anything that was required, me to be at work, I would probably get 2 weeks off right now. Right, it's like our Christmas holidays.
Wow, yeah.
Right? Most businesses will be shut down, right, other than essential workers and restaurants, right. Most people would go out and enjoy the festivities, and there'll be quite the plan of each day of what, the first day, second day, all the different activities. Usually in Canada, we summarize it in like family gatherings, and then of course the many different Chinese dishes and the food, that's enjoyed all throughout the festivities. And then there's the lanterns, and some places will have fireworks or firecrackers put off, and then of course the line dancing and the dragon dancing, all that excitement of the drum, and then can't forget if growing up, all the little kids would get the little red packets of money, right? So that's supposed to bring good fortune and luck, and you had to spend the money, right? You couldn't just save it up. You had to spend it to hopefully get some good fortune or luck, right, out of it. So
Oh, that's amazing. So you pass it on, in other words. You pass on that luck.
Yeah, you pass along. Exactly. And, and there's a lot of superstitions and, and traditions, like, you're not supposed to wash away your good luck. So, you're not supposed to get your hair washed today, for example, on the first day, right? So, if not, you'll wash away the luck that's coming, right? And you're always supposed to clean your house before, not during, the festivities, because you'll sweep away all the good luck that you've accumulated.
That's amazing. Do different communities in Newfoundland and Labrador celebrate in different ways, or is it, like you say, mostly a family, familial kind of thing?
Mostly a family affair, but here in St. John's we have a larger population, so we want to serve the community and to showcase our culture. This year we've got a 2-day celebration planned. This Saturday, the 21st, we're down at the St. John's Convention Center for our Chinese New Year Gala, and we're tying in with the 50th anniversary. So we've got performances lined up. We've got sponsors. Right, it's a big event. To host it down at the conference center, for sure, because we're normally at a smaller venue. And that's going to take place, from 5 to midnight. We got a live band playing later on, in the evening when everything's wrapped up. And then Sunday, we've got the family day at the Legion in Pleasantville, right? Canadian Royal Legion in Pleasantville. Everybody's welcome, right? And the family day. We've got a kids talent show lined up, and people can register the morning of if they want to participate in the talent show. And we've got prizes, giveaways, snacks, right? So it's all, and then we've got face painting and tattoos for the kids, right? Arts and crafts, so it's gonna be fun.
Oh, for sure. So when and where again? The conference center event is when?
Saturday night, right? Unfortunately, tickets are sold out, right? But that's going to be a big production, right? We've got Canadian AV looking after our, audio visual, and I believe, it'll be coverage, right? News coverage will be there to take some shots, and then Sunday, like I said, it's open, right at the Royal Canadian Legion down in Pleasantville for anybody who wants to stop by, from 1 to 4.
And the talent show takes place, is it part of that?
Yeah, talent show is roughly around 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Excellent.
Right, so people can register when they go and they come in, or they go or pre-register is all good.
And what about the fireworks? When is that happening?
Unfortunately, we don't have the permit from the city to pull off the fireworks.
Oh no!
Right, I wish we did. We have a big celebration, like in larger cities in Canada, right? Chinatown in Ontario and Toronto or BC, they probably got permits for the fireworks, right? But we'll make appearances throughout this 50th anniversary year. We've got other things planned around the community. So to celebrate, and then towards the end of the year, we're going to have a closing ceremony, right, or gathering, right, towards the end of the year, probably close out the Year of the Horse. So normally we don't put as much into it from a year-to-year celebration. Usually we cater around the larger events, but this year we're going to try and make a full calendar of events after the New Year's Gala. We'll start having things finalized and planned for the rest of the calendar year.
And so what does the fire horse signify then? What kind of a year is this going to be?
Now, those who are not familiar with the Chinese zodiac, the 12 animals, they're also imbued with the 5 elements, right? The 5 natural occurring elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And every 60 years, each animal gets cycled, right? A element. Look, every 12 years is an element, but for every element to come back around is 60 years. So last year there was a fire horse was 60 years ago. So what happens when the element is attached? It supercharges the attributes of that animal and those who are born under the sign. So normally the personality and the traits are as such for the horse is that they're outgoing, energetic, they're competitive, they're ambitious, right? So, those who are born on a fire horse are doubly so, right? So just some celebrities that are born under a fire horse is Jackie Chan, Chef Gordon Ramsay, right? And then they also have talent. Also, people who have born on a year of horse also have some talents, such as Paul McCartney. He's a year of horse. Right, so there's other people that are born with these things and skills and attributes that kind of reflects. I find sometimes it's truer than the other zodiac, right?
Well, when you say people like Jackie Chan and Gordon Ramsay,
yeah.
I mean that pretty much illustrates what a fire horse should be, I think.
It's exactly right. So I paint the picture of what the attribute and characteristic of some person that's a fire horse, right? These are outgoing people, right? People that take charge, take speed, right? They don't sit around, put it this way.
No, for sure. Francis, this is amazing. All the best now for your celebrations at the conference center and the family day, which is open to everyone in Pleasantville at the Royal Canadian Legion from 1 to 4 this coming Sunday. All the best, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Gong hei pa choi to everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. Bye.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Francis Tam is the president of the Chinese Association. I was going to say Canadian Chinese. No, it's Chinese Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. We'll be back right after this. And we're going now to Tom Davis, the counselor for Ward 4 in the city of St. John's. Hello, Tom.
Good morning, Linda.
How are you?
Living the dream.
Like us all.
Contemplating the weather for tomorrow and just asking residents to pay attention to whether the garbage collection will be happening. That decision's made around 6 p.m. the day before. And if you subscribe to emails or text, you'll get a notification. You can also check the socials, the Facebook, the City of St. John's.
Yeah, because that's been a real pain, hasn't it, this year?
Yeah, it makes it hard for residents not knowing, but if they do check, we do make that decision well in advance. And it makes it tough for the snowplow operators, and it's hard on the garbage cans if they get plowed, and then the garbage blows around, and especially recycling. So, just ask people to plug in and spread the word. If you know you've got people in your life who maybe aren't as plugged in as they need to be, send them a text and just remind them when that announcement happens this evening.
I usually go according to what other people have on the street. That's my notification.
The line leading the line.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes
the blind leading the blind. Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Tom, I do need to ask you this before you get started. Speaking with Francis Tam there, and he said they didn't get a permit for the fireworks for Chinese New Year.
I don't know if they applied because that would come to council, and we haven't seen it. I know, for example, last year, I think this is 2 years ago, the Diwali celebrations applied, and they were successful in getting it. So although you didn't ask them directly, I'm not sure whether either they left it too late or they didn't apply at all. I did note that. And, again, fireworks is a challenge in the community. I mean, there's a lot of outspoken people asking us to consider not having any fireworks at all for the animal reasons and for the environmental reasons and the people trying to sleep and shift workers and all that stuff. So, but to the best of my knowledge, I know it didn't come across the bow for a vote, and it would have. So I think perhaps either they didn't or maybe they left it too late.
Okay, that's fair enough. I needed to ask.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind?
Well, I also wanted to, picking up on the issue with the Outer Ring Road, another accident out there in particular, that area there, I'm not sure what's going on. We all know we're all too distracted, but when you're driving at speed, bad things happen pretty quickly, and when you're driving slower, unfortunately, in residential neighborhoods, really bad things can happen if a child or an animal darts out in front of you. So another reminder of the importance to keeping your eyes on the road and trying not to be distracted and focus on that important job, driving, over a ton of steel through and the harm that you can do to yourself or to others.
It's so easy to forget until you find yourself suddenly having to brake or suddenly having to swerve,
Many of us make a trip and don't remember how we made the trip. And that unfortunately can have deadly or long-term consequences. So again, another reminder, we can't remind people enough. Along the city lines, the city is seeking feedback on the Rainies River Central and Mundy Pond neighborhood plan recommendations. You can go to the Engage St. John's and do it. There are open houses. There's virtual, and there's also an Engage survey that you can look at we've started the process of coming up with neighborhood plans, and we have some consultants working at it, and they did some preliminary work, which is now there for people to review. So we encourage people to go there and get their important feedback on the future of their community.
Excellent.
I want to take off the hat here now and focus on we've got budget consultations, and tomorrow's the last day to fill out the Engage Newfoundland feedback on the budget. I did it. It doesn't really go where I'd like it to go, but it does talk about priorities, and so I encourage people. And there is opportunities to put other comments and to expand on it. And, it's very difficult in Newfoundland and Labrador, given our geography and the culture and everything. And you had the gentleman on earlier from transportation, with the challenges with certain employees, potentially making more than others, and then the impact it has on others' morale. So, it's really tough. We've got this situation where our revenue in the province is going down. Last year, down $347 million. Our expenses are going up $430 million, but mostly healthcare costs. Total spending going up 5.7%, up to $11.3 billion a year. And interestingly enough, Mark Carney wrote a book, which is a really good read for people who are really trying to understand him, but also maybe have some guidance as where to go in the future. And in it, there's a quote. It's obviously before he was prime minister. Leadership is the acceptance of responsibility rather than the assumption of power. And in that book, he argues that we need to prioritize long-term goals over personal ambition or immediate power. And you can see how the feds are conducting themselves right now. And I guess it's under his leadership. And this is not an anti-conservative or pro-liberal rant. This is one individual who has come along probably at, you know, if you were to seek the entire globe to try and find someone for this time, you probably couldn't have found a better person than Mark Carney. Whether you love him or don't like him, he's got the tools and the skills and the confidence to be able to go head-to-head with global leaders and to try and chart a course through very, very shark-infested waters for the country.
Shark-infested indeed. So what can we learn then from, as you put it, you know, with this book and his take on it?
Well, I mean, more to do with the policy action he's having now. He's addressing the budget. I mean, on two sides. There's obviously long-term investments, and I'm not going to go there, but they're pointing to departmental budget reductions, 15%, which is very aggressive. You know, and they are looking at efficiencies within different parts of the public service. We know that all public services and large businesses become inefficient. The larger you get, there's a term called Price's Law, which is the square root of the number of people in an organization do have to work. So as an organization gets larger, it gets less efficient. A lot of times people think, oh, we're going to combine all the health services and we're going to find efficiencies. Well, as we found out, there were no efficiencies. The healthcare is continuing to go up. It's because organizations get less efficient the larger they get. So, you know, you're looking at budget cuts, you're looking at efficiencies with employees. And when we look at the situation with the debt in Newfoundland and Labrador, $4.1 billion for borrowing just this year alone. I keep a spreadsheet. We're up to $46 billion that I can accurately track between Nalcor, the province of Newfoundland, and the health boards and the public-private partnerships and Memorial University. So $46 billion, just to put everybody in perspective. All the homes that are in Newfoundland and Labrador, that'd be almost $220,000 that you could put towards building a home. That's our debt. So when people think, look at all the investments the province has made, most of the things, including our roads, realistically, that debt would have no problem to build every road, Federation building, hospitals, everything we have. Back when it was built in real time, that debt that we accumulated would have paid for all that. So we basically have created a province that is borrowing money not only to build things, but also to pay its light bill, to pay salaries. And until we have leadership, courageous leadership, that are willing to look the population in the face and say, listen, we've got an unsustainable province, but we can all put our shoulders to the wheel. Let's get together. Let's do what we can. You know, just to kind of emphasize the decline in where we are right now. Two stories. One story, I was speaking to a taxi driver who's carrying 4 graduate nurses out to a restaurant, and they were talking about how they were being trained on how to evacuate a hospital in case of an emergency when things, you know, in case of, and the overall consensus was they don't get paid enough to evacuate the patients. That's crazy because nurses are the noblest, the best of us. When we've declined to that point that we put ourselves first, when nurses do that. Another story, a 39-year-old gentleman with diabetes, pretty severe diabetes.
And we're out of time, so we'll wrap it here.
Okay. Yeah, okay, very quickly. Severe diabetes, works for a government agency. They want to put him on long-term disability. Perfectly capable of working, and that's the world. So we've got a lot of contemplation to it. I call on leaders to do the difficult things and ask us to join them in it. Take care, everyone.
Tom Davis, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
And Tom Davis had the last word on VOCM Open Line this morning. Thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you, David, for navigating everything on the other side of the glass there. Really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.